This is a really nice place in here you got.
Oh, thank you, man.
I mean, I've been to a lot of wrestling schools, and this may be certainly the cleanest. It doesn't smell bad in here. But then again, the wrestling hasn't really started for the day yet.
Yeah, the school doesn't smell. Technically, maybe the wrestlers smell. But I tend to have more female students than male, so it's not so bad in here.
Okay,
It's not so
then
bad.
they smell good.
No, some of them they get suspect because they work hard. If you work hard, you're bound to sweat. When you sweat, it's usually if they just the knee pads or the elbow pads or something, you know.
So
But
this is
not so much them.
This is Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum. We're in Dania Beach. So for people watching online, about 20, maybe 25 minutes from Miami. So if people are in the area, they can be aware that this place is open, ready for business.
Yeah, right. Fort Lauderdale, basically 5 minutes from the airport, right off 95 in Sterling, right here. So.
How long have you been open?
Well, we had a soft grand opening October 31st because I wanted the Halloween date, you know. But technically,
Vampire Warrior.
But technically, December, really, the beginning of December. So 2-3 months, you know. So
All right.
there you go.
But you've been training for a while, though. You've been training students.
Been training students, yeah, off and on for forever, really. All the way back to I ran Office School of the Wild Samoans back in '94 in Allentown. I ran Dean Malenko's school. 95, 96 into 97. So,
Wow.
And then I had my own school with Rikishi and his partner or his cousin, cousin Reno, Black Pearl. It was called Knox Pearl out in L.A. We started that up, and I ran that for almost 8 years, and then I decided to come back home to Florida and do my own.
And possibly your most famous student, or at least right now, Rusev Day.
Yeah, it's Rusev Day. Is it Tuesday already?
Every day's Rusev Day.
Every day is Rusev Day. Yeah, no, he was a great student. He was awesome. He deserves everything he gets, man. He was a good guy.
Are you surprised at all by the success that he has right now? He is so over right now.
Is he?
Oh,
Well,
God.
don't tell him I haven't been watching the show. I had to put the Bulgarian flag up for him over there because he saw
Look at that.
and when all the flags went up, he goes, "Oh, I don't see Bulgaria." I said, "It's coming. It's in the mail. It's a hard flag to get. It's a hard flag." But
He's very over. Like if matches start to get boring, the crowd just starts chanting Rusev Day.
I think he's always been a great guy and had a funny personality. But I think his wife is a good asset to him. I think she brings a lot of the clowning out in him and stuff. So like
She's from around here, isn't she?
Well,
Somewhere in Florida?
I think the rumors she went to FSU, but that's boo on that. You know, it's all go Canes here, man. It's about the Canes here. But yeah, I believe she's Florida, but of Russian descent or whatnot and stuff like that.
She has a good accent.
But yeah, she has a good accent. But going back to Miro Rusev, and he deserves everything he got. He's like the American dream when he writes his book because he moved from Bulgaria to become a pro wrestler. So he came to that school, trained. He worked 3 jobs. We had classes back then in the morning and in the afternoon. So he would literally sleep in the car in between the classes so he wouldn't go home so he wouldn't miss a class or miss a shift at work. So he really, really put the time and the work in and was totally dedicated. So I couldn't be prouder of him, than, he's just over the moon for him, I'm just very proud.
We have to stop this and just say it must be strange for people to be seeing you without your fangs.
I do feel weird. I don't really feel like this is even an interview without the thing. There's a microphone here, but I'm not going, banging and banging, That's all I have anyways. So you kind of get robbed now, but yeah.
But people think that you're the real implants.
Well, I did have fangs for a while, permanently, yes. Well, it was a long journey, a long process with the fangs, Started out in Puerto Rico, and they were Lee press-on nails. I used to cut Lee press-on nails, super paint them, cut them, and super glue them in. And I did that for about 5-6 years. And then I had the bright idea that I was going to permanently have them. Luna talked me into it. Rest in peace. She said, "Vampire, she got a permanent." So okay, whatever you say. So I had them permanently bonded in. So I had fangs for a good 3 years, and then Vince McMahon came to me because I was always working for WWF at the time or WWE off and on, and he goes, "Man, you need to grow your hair in and get rid of those fangs. You're a hell of a worker, but I ain't never going to use a vampire character." So I got rid of the fangs, grew the hair in, I lost some weight, and then they made me a vampire.
When you debuted in WWE, those weren't the real fangs? They were like the implant? Or
nope. I
temporary?
had already taken them out because he had me get rid of them, yeah.
What were you thinking, Vince?
Well, he hated vampires. It was Vince Russo that brought it back. When he got creative control, that brief little window he had, I was hired, but he slid that character in under that window, because they didn't know how to bring Edge in. They couldn't figure out how to bring out Edge in. They wanted him to read palms. You remember when Heidenreich would go stand on the top of a thing and read a silly palm like he was going to jump off the thing? That's what they wanted Edge to do in Calm Riot.
Didn't the Genius also read poems?
Well, and throw frisbees, I guess. I don't know. Well, you know, the Genius is a hell of a worker, though, man. He's a really good worker. He's a different character too. I love Lanny. You should do an interview with him one day. You'd really.
Let's make it happen.
You should. Well, I'll make it happen for you.
Okay. As a whole, was the Vince Russo era a good time to be a worker or not a good time to be a worker?
Wow, it was cool for me. The Attitude Era, the whole Attitude Era was really, really hot. It was one of my favorite things, and I think was the greatest thing about the Attitude Era is everybody had a storyline, from Funaki to myself to The Rock. You know, high as the food chain you can go to the bottom of the food chain. Yeah. You had a storyline. Every win and loss meant something for something. Nothing was just wasted. There was no just, oh, let's just go throw a match together because it sounds good. You know what I mean? Everything had a purpose. Everything climbed, and so it was exciting. Even if you were going out there on Jacked and you got to win on Jacked, you know, somebody would beat you on early segment of Raw. You know, like say, everything, it all meant something. So it was really cool to be a part of something where you actually had meaning. It was just, you had some kind of, you know, you knew where you were going, and it was just pretty awesome. It was a pretty awesome time.
Did it mean more because there was less wrestling going on at the time? Raw was only 2 hours. Smackdown didn't exist at the time.
Less wrestling? I don't know. There was still WCW.
No, but I mean in WWE, you know, it was Raw or nothing, you know.
Well, they were always filming, though. We still film Mondays and Tuesdays.
Jacked,
the Jack, the Heat,
Superstars.
Shotgun. You know, you're always filming. It was 2 days of TV, the same as it is now, actually. So you know, as the fans' point of view, I mean, they had WCW not to choose from, but no, they just were creative. There was the thing is they had competition. So they had the right. They couldn't just go throw you anything and say, hey, that's it, take it. Yeah. You know, WCW was there. So, you know, they were competing. Talent was looking to leave and go to other companies whenever contracts were. Your ratings, they're fighting for ratings. So you had to be creative. You had the right. It gave them a drive. I think when it went away, they lost that drive. You know, so what is it? You know, hey, it's the only show in town. Like it or not. Here we go. And then as the years went on, they're a publicly traded company now, so now it's like PG. So, you know, I mean, they did get over the top in like early 2000s with some crazy stuff, but the Attitude Era, not just because I was a part of it, but it was a really, really fun era. It was a fun era to be a wrestler in the Attitude Era, because the agents would come up to you and they'd go, hey, just don't make me look bad. This is what they want for a finish, you know? And you go out there and you did what you wanted to do in your match. And then now I can watch TV. I don't watch it that much. I am guilty of it, but when I do watch it, I can almost tell the agents and who did it and how the matches are run. You go, oh, you can tell. You can see their signatures on it if you know wrestling, you know, and you're like, wow, it's really, really controlled, you know. So where we were like the Wild Wild West, they were just like, just don't make us look bad, man. Because if you do, we're going to say it's all on you. Yes, sir. You know? So you'd go out there and just had a blast. You had fun doing what you're doing. It was a great time to be a pro wrestler.
And you're still wrestling. You're working like several shows every single week, right?
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed. I'm out there fanging and banging. Had to get it in there. Fanging and banging 24/7. Yeah, 24/7. So yeah, I'm in here Mondays through Thursdays, and then on the road Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like clockwork. I mean, I just came back from Europe where I was over there for 19 days. I did 21 or 22 shows in 19 days. Came right off to school. Went out to Portland, still filming like regional TVs for WCWC out there. So I wrestled 6 of the 8 segments of the TVs in the 2 days. So like right up the plane here, there, West Coast, East Coast. So I'm still hopping around. I wrestle just as much now as I ever have.
And you're quite the businessman. You got the wrestling school, of course. You've also got a hot sauce business, and you've got a supplement business.
I don't know if I'm the businessman. I got a
Your name is on it.
Yeah, my name is on it, but I got a partner that drives me crazy and everything. They said, branding, you know. But, you know, it's the funny thing is because we have we just recently got the federal trademark for the Gangrel name. So there's a lot of controversy around that Gangrel name. Like the WWE got sued from White Wolf, and then they had to lease it for 5 years. And it went on, and then when I got released, they brought me back for Monday Night Raw, and then White Wolf sold to another company, and they tried to sue him for $5 million for me being on there. So WWE kind of washed their hands of that name. They're like, we don't want nothing to do with it. But when it was in court, the federal judge said, well, he's the character Gangrel, so he has that. So I had that all this time, but now my business partners and all, they went through, and now I have the federal trademark on it. So that's why, hence, you know, we have, not that we don't want to get out there, but we have to put it in place. So we have hot sauces. We're coming out with an energy drink. Vamp Amps, another line of stuff we're coming out with, and different things like that. So, I mean, just grinding, all in, 24/7, you know.
We worked a show about 2 months ago. I was the ring announcer, and I love that you took me aside before the show and you said, I just want to warn you, Chris, I'm going to do the blood spit. So just be careful. It's on the entranceway. It's very slippery. It's very kind of you to say that. Thank you.
Ah, no worries. I don't want you slipping on my watch. Go, that clown ass, But yeah, no, I try to warn people. I also let them know that it'll come out because I wear a white shirt every night and it comes right out. No bleach or no nothing.
And what did you say? You said if the promoter wants you to do the spit into the air and all over your shirt, they have to pay for the shirt?
No, I don't wear the white shirts are really hard to get now. Hot Topic used to carry like everything. Now it's like seasonal. If they do, they've changed. So if I wear a black shirt now, but if you want the white shirt, I say just go buy it. I'll wear it, sign it, and leave it with you. Auction it off, do what you want. But I'm not gonna go hunt them down from here to hell just because I'm working every week. I go through these shirts, to hunt them down and spend all that. I'd spend more money on white shirts than I would wrestling. And the hunt of the white shirt, the puffy pirate shirt. I
don't want to be a pirate.
You go all day with some Seinfeld references.
I was also backstage with you at a show, Legends of Wrestling at Miccosukee about 2 years ago. And I took you aside. I'd never met you before. I just said to you, what is the blood? And you're like, oh, it's just costume blood. And I'm like, oh, of course it is. Like, I felt so stupid.
Well, if you'd been like 12 years old, I'd have said, it's pig's blood. What do you think it is?
But what does it taste like?
It's stage blood. Been there. I'm particular about my blood. I like a good zesty mint.
Really?
Swish it around. I let it breathe. I put it in a chalice early. It's like a good red wine.
But like, do you seriously have a certain brand?
Yeah. Oh, constantly. Yes. I stick to it. It's been. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it's BEN/NYE, and it's stage blood, but it's a zesty mint. I won't go with anything but a zesty mint. When I'm shipping it in, I'll say I'll pay the extra $5. Just make sure it's zesty mint. So the good stuff. Bring me the good stuff.
So if you spit it in someone's face, they're kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, as a vampire, I always have some fresh breath. Yeah, kill all the myths off, but I don't sparkle or nothing like that. No. I might be a tan pirate. I'll always get heat for having a tan.
Yeah. Do people every day ask you about your entrance and that entrance theme?
Every day? No, it is common. Like they love the ring music, Like, oh, I still play that music before I go to the gym, or that music. It's really.
It's that people love,
Yeah, it's I love it. It's great. It was just a blessing in disguise. The music, the entrance, and everything. The entrance a lot of that was Vince Russo. They came up with all that. They called me on a Friday. Vince Russo says, "Can you still do the vampire thing?" I go, "Well, yeah, of course." And so he shot all these ideas. But he goes, "I got this really, really cool entrance I'm working on." He goes, "But I need you to come up with stuff to finish it." So he told me about the entrance coming up through an elevator or a lift and a ring of fire. And I said, he goes, yeah. I go, because he's a big Kiss fan. And I go, well, I'll spray the blood out of a chalice. Like, that'll be my tribute to Gene Simmons then, the guitar solo. And he goes out and the blood comes out instead. I'll spew it up. So he just came up with all that over a weekend. So on a Friday, they call me. Saturday, I was in Hot Topics. Sunday, I was on the plane debuting. Everything. So all that, the music, everything, all that was done from a Friday night to a Sunday afternoon.
That mumbling at the start of the song, there's a secret message there, right? If it's played backwards, is that how it works?
Yes, if it's played backwards, and unfortunately I used to dabble in a lot of illegal things at one time, so I tried it out to see if it really did work. Maybe it didn't because, I don't know. But if you play it backwards, if you got the right skills, technology to play it backwards, it's the guy that did the music was a big Beatles fan and
Jim
everything.
Johnson,
so
right?
Jim, right?
Yeah.
So it says, "I buried Paul, walk with me."
Oh. And now Paul's burying everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, well, his wife's buried him. So.
Wow. Okay, so that I buried Paul is the secret message.
Yeah, walk with me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did you know that when you got Edge and Christian, you guys formed the Brood? Did you know that Edge had something special?
Yeah, I met him before. He was just his energy is just really good. He's just really genuinely a good person. He's a really, really good guy. But if I didn't know it, the office made sure I knew it. Because, the office came to me and they said, listen, we're strapping a rocket to his ass and let nothing happen to him. Blend him in, get him, everybody to like him, take care of him, and just guide him along the way. That's what we need you to do. Because there was no Christian, that was supposed to be somebody else. That was supposed to either be another Canadian called Dr. Luther or Chris Daniels. They were both up for that spot.
Christopher Daniels?
Christopher Daniels.
Like the Fallen Angel?
The Fallen Angel. Yeah. So it was up to those two. It came down to those two, and Edge backdoored his old Orangeville buddy. Fellow Canadian in there. Well, Dr. Luther was Canadian, but maybe he was from the wrong side of Canada. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long, into the gimmick that you guys had, did you go, oh, man, like, he's not going to be part of the Brood for long?
Well, I don't think the Brood was ever intended to get over last. It was just supposed to be a shuttle to bring Edge in, not Christian, but Edge.
Sure.
Just they couldn't figure out how to bring him in, and they did this. So it was just an accidental thing, and then they really couldn't stop it. So the only way to stop it was to dismember it. You know what I mean? Because it just kept going. I remember they put us in the ministry, and he goes, "What's wrong?" I go, "We're done." He goes, "Why would you say that?" I go, "Undertaker don't need us in his ministry. There's a reason they put you in the ministry." I said, "We're done." He goes, "No, don't be like that. Why are you always negative?" I go, I'm not being negative. I'm teaching. I'm telling you, we're done. I said, "You watch. Within 6 months from now, we'll be done." No. So we're going on there. Later on, like a month or 2 weeks later, we all go out on the stage. They have the whole ministry comes out and stands, and the Brood's on the end. And they're booing the ministry, and then the whole building just starts chanting, "Brood, Brood, Brood." And I leaned over to him. "We're done." And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You'll see." Next week, they came in or so, a little bit later. I don't know how long for sure. I'm terrible about times. They go, "We think we're going to break you away from the ministry. We want you to feud the ministry." I said, he goes, "Ooh, you might be right." I go, "You'll see." And then they feuded the ministry. They dismantled us. And then they came to me about a month or two after that and said, "You know, you're the Brood. Not really." And I looked at him. He goes, "I can't believe you're right, man." So he just been around long enough. I was with Luna for 18 years. She was like, it was like the Matrix with her. I took the wrong pill. I couldn't come back out of the rabbit hole. I took the one. Everything was off. I saw everything for what it was. I was like, "Oh, I just want steak. I don't want gruel. If it's gruel, it's fine, but I want to believe it's steak." But
How long until the new Brood formed? Till they brought Matt and Jeff around?
like a month or not even, because their deal was they had to shuttle them away from Michael Hayes, the old beer wolf, because he was driving them crazy, because he would sit them in he'd sit in the back seat of the car, and they're driving for miles, and Michael Hayes is like, "Hey, it's my dime, it's my time. You know what that means?" And like, "Yes, Michael. Yes, sir." So he was completely. And I'm the giant. I'm the biggest Freebird fan there is. So I'll never knock the Freebirds. I love them all, and I love Michael Hayes. So, but he was driving those poor guys crazy. So they had to figure that way. So they weren't even with me for like 2 weeks or something, and that was it. Boom. So it was just I was just another shuttle to shuttle them away from them, And then I got hurt, and then I was out for a while. And then I came back, and then I went out with the neck injury where I broke my neck, and then I was out a year for that. And then I got released when I came back after that. So all my shuttling time was done. So on paper, I was there a while. But in physical stuff and matches and stuff, it really was only there like 2 years,
But you're such an iconic character. People, of course, identify with your look and your style and your in-ring ability. It's so hard to believe you didn't win a single title in WWF.
Nope, I did not. Everybody thinks I won the European though that night. I did not win the European. I was supposed to win the European title that night.
What happened?
I got in trouble, a little backstage stuff. I was innocent, but
What happened?
No. There was a pyro guy. He went around and he was filming people trying to sell. He was trying to sell steroids to people and stuff. And they had it all on film. And I'm telling you, a lot of wrestlers were in there that night. And I just opted to take it. I didn't want to take a test. I said, I ain't gonna take a test. I didn't do that though. I was worried about everything else I did, So I was like, I don't want to get I ain't giving up on that, So, but it was supposed to win the belt that night. But as a punishment, they changed everybody's stuff, and anybody that was called in that room for even being part of that conversation.
What's with this pyro guy, though?
He got fired.
Well, why would he be even? Who cares?
Who knows? It's politics. You know how the big wheels run. You'll be at the break room at old Channel 7 over there. Hey, Chris, I got something. You think you got abs now? Wait till you take this. Here, can you just lean forward and talk into this for me?
Yeah, that happens all the time, yeah. Who did you travel with when you were on the road?
I prefer to travel by myself a lot, but when I had to, when I was forced to, I traveled with Luna. I was married to her, but I didn't like sharing a room with her because she wasn't very organized.
You also mentioned Benoit and Eddie.
That was, and then later on, I traveled with Chris and Eddie. Yes,
wow.
I traveled with them. They always stayed. I don't even like sharing rooms, but I had to rotate sharing rooms with them because I couldn't afford the hotels they were staying in. They were on a higher pay scale than me. They were married on every night. I go, I'm more of a Clarion Motel 6. I don't like the sheets, but I like the budget over there. So I ended up just rotating nights with Chris and Eddie, and it was probably the most amazing thing out of my journeys. I never stopped learning between the two of them. Eddie just from a family wrestling, and Chris coming out of the Stampede, which was where I first got my start, is in Stampede Wrestling in Calgary. Was the first main territory I worked at the end of territory. So I was always driven and connected a lot with his style because we knew all the same people and stuff. And I just never stopped learning. Never stopped learning. They never stopped talking. They were learning off each other. They figured if we didn't learn something every match or every car ride or something from each other or the situation or what was going on, then we didn't need to be in wrestling. You know what I mean? You need to just always be learning. Wrestling is you learn. It's a tool. Learn from it.
Is that still the case for you? Still learning?
I learn in the airports. I'm always every match. I learn something. Every match, good or bad, and I learn even more so now. Now that I'm teaching, running a school again and stuff. As I watch their matches, like I just watched Anna Diaz, one of the students. She was working for Alex Portillo, the Pug. He runs a show up in Tampa area. Yeah. And I was watching her matches, and I learned. I said, oh, well, I see she's applying this and here, but, ooh, could have did this. And I go, oh, I never even thought about it. I should have done it that way. So you're constantly learning, And then, but now I'm like what do you want to call it, energy vampire? I'm stealing all their youth and energy. I'm like, yeah. So when I'm feeling down, I say, ooh, that spot looked cool. All right. Well, I'm doing that in Portland next week. I won't know it. Unless they're doing their homework, then they'll catch me. But
you still have a similar moveset, though.
Do I? Yeah. It's all pretty much the same. I just took all the after the broken neck. I took all the tiger suplexes and dragons. Anything with the bridges out. But other than that, it's still the same. My bread and butter was always a bumper. I'm a bumper.
Yeah. You sell quite well.
Oh well, thank you very much.
You mentioned you don't watch wrestling anymore, but did you happen to see not as much? But did you happen to see the Royal Rumble?
No.
And I ask that because Lita entered the Rumble.
Yeah. Oh, I saw. Yes. I saw the post with the Luna and the Sherry, and she giving tribute to the girls.
What did you think when you saw that?
I thought that was pretty awesome because, a lot of people don't know this, but Luna was pushed a lot for Amy Lita. She pushed a lot. She would ask me to carry up her tapes all the time. You need to take this to the office. I go, what do you want me to do? She goes, I don't care. Take it to the office. This girl needs to get a job. I'm like, okay, so I would take it all. Did you give it to him? And sometimes I would, and I'd say, no. I go to lie, but I couldn't lie to her. I'd say, no, I didn't give it to him. She'd go, you need to give it to him. I told you. I was always bringing the stuff and pushing it for her. So when I seen her do that, I felt really good inside. Wow, somebody actually, is giving something back. Because Luna truly loved wrestling. It didn't love her, but she gave everything to pro wrestling. She just loved it. She was just loved it so much it killed her.
Do you think that maybe she'll get inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. They had never really they always frowned on her. I don't know what the deal was with her. She was bipolar. She was schizophrenic. I mean, she was studied by the in Atlanta, the Emory University, since she was 2 years old for depression and suicide tendencies and stuff like that. So she was always fighting a battle. I don't know if they hold that against her because she might be the only person I know of that company put a restraining order on when they let her go. Legitimately, they called me when she was rehab one time. I said, we're going to have to fire her while she's in rehab. Why don't you just fire her? She goes, no, we're going to let her go while she's in rehab. I go, I don't even think that's legal. But somehow they did it. They got her because they said they were feared. I think that's why they probably filed that.
I just feel like with the whole women's revolution, Luna was an iconic character as well. And I don't see, it would make sense for her to go in.
Well, she truly cared about wrestling, but she was a wild card when it came to emotions and stuff like that. She couldn't control her emotions and anger and her passion for wrestling, so it would come out in a negative way in locker rooms and stuff. She would beat Sonny up. She choked Medusa out in the locker room. She's just poor Jacqueline, Miss Jacqueline. I sat there and witnessed it. I got fired for her beating Jackie up in the ring one time in Tennessee. Eddie Marlin, Jess Grandecki. Hey, David, we can't have that kind of violence here. I didn't do it. It was her. You can't fire me over her. Yeah, I'll be back 10 minutes later. He says, can you just please try to keep her under control? I said, yes, sir.
What do you think when you see these other dark gimmicks or these other vampire-like gimmicks going on currently in the WWE?
Like what?
Aleister Black has a dark-ish gimmick.
Yeah. And like a Finn Balor is a monster creature.
But the Ascension. The Ascension is like the kind of the newest Brood almost.
Kind of Acolytes Brood. Yeah. Acolytes meet the Brood. Right? More Acolyte to me. But no, I think it's cool. Even when I was supposed to come back, they hired me back to do the ECW when they were coming back. But then they decided to start Kevin Thorne and Shelley and it didn't work. I it's flattering that people can go those routes, but Undertaker truly was the portal for that type of door for dark characters to work. And then me coming in as a vampire, it was a totally separate, different thing from him. But it's really hard to imitate the first things that come through. People expect a certain thing. Like for Undertaker, it just organically grew. As the Undertaker grew each year, as his character grew. Mine, it just happened to be one of those accidental phenoms. It was like boom, it just blew up. Who would have thought a vampire could work? I remember sitting in the living room watching the Lost Boys having a bologna blowout where they're. I don't know if you know what a bologna blowout is. No, it's when you have nothing else to do on a Sunday, and you go get a bunch of junk food like salami and hams and cheeses.
Okay.
You lay it out there, and then whatever. You get a couple bottles of wine, whatever, and you start watching movies. You're just chilling. Bologna blowout. So you're just eating garbage.
It could be something completely different.
Hey, clear your mind, young man.
You were involved in the other industry for a while.
But so we were sitting there and we were watching the movie The Lost Boys, and I go, "Oh, it'd be really cool to be a vampire wrestler." She goes, "Oh, you should be a vampire wrestler." I go, "No, you can't do that in wrestling." "Yes, you can. Why can't you?" I go, "You can't be a vampire in wrestling. Wrestling's wrestling. But eventually, weird things fell into place, and I ended up doing the vampire thing in Puerto Rico. Actually, I called myself Lestat the Vampire, like with Tom Cruise, ripping off Lestat, but. Which Frenchie Martin, rest in peace, came along and changed it. Lestat, that doesn't sound right. You're a vampire warrior. And like, okay, vampire warrior. So they became the vampire warrior, and then that went on into Memphis and so on, until it evolved into Gangrel.
If someone were to walk through these doors here right now, what's the process to joining the Asylum?
The process is to be honest, I'll take them in that little room, the media room over there, where they're all watching wrestling right now.
Okay.
They're in there watching.
Yeah, a lot of students are here right now.
Yeah, so they're in there watching, they're studying, and I'll take them in there. And I'll tell them, first of all, there's several other schools. And then I said, I'll give you the phone numbers to them, and I'll give you the addresses, tell you the trainers, right? If you're going to come here, whether you're doing it for a hobby or you want to go to WWE or you want a career in Japan, I'm training you the same. I'm training you to be successful. So if you want anything other than that, if you're not going to train to do that, I want you to go to the other places and definitely go check them out. If not, go check them out before you even come back again. Take your time and think about it. Because if you come here, I'm training you to be the best you can be. So I expect that out of you every training. And I don't want you to come in here clowning around and hold other people back because you don't have the heart, the drive, or the desire that they have, right? So We're all going to be on the same page. I'm going to give you 100% of my time. And then I tell them, if you give me 6 extra months, I just told you this earlier, if you give me 6 extra months with your training, you take your time, don't worry about wanting to hit the ropes, won't worry about this and that, just concentrate on your foundation and your basics. I'll save you 6 to whatever years and heartache and shortcut you past that with just that 6 months if you don't rush. And they sit through that speech, and then I'll tell them, it's not easy, and then they still go through that, then they'll just send them in there and they'll sign paperwork, and then we get out here, and then, we spend over there, there's pads. We'll spend about a month on those pads, squatting and rolling and squatting and rolling and squatting, and we'll move them up to a 16-foot ring where they'll start putting moves in at play, learning, headlocks, wing locks, top wrist locks, Mexican hand and knees, all the different arm drags with bridges, yada, yada, single legs, double legs, but no ropes.
Okay.
And then when they can start putting matches together and wrestle there, I feel comfortable that they're comprehending all that, wrestling itself, the art of wrestling, then I'll move them over here to the ring behind us, and then start on the ropes, and then we'll add ropes with tackles and leapfrogs. And it comes so much quicker because they've earned it. It's like each, these kids, I have to tell them it's like video game levels. You gotta earn each level, they're like, oh yeah, cool. So you're on that level, and then you get in here, and then you just, to finally get it all put together, then maybe you'll beat the video game. But you never will. You'll play forever trying to beat the system, and that's what I'm still doing. I'm still trying to beat that game because you keep learning, and you learn, and you learn, and you keep learning. And, just drive yourself. That's kind of the process.
I mean, you have this great mind for the business, and you obviously are great at training people. NXT's just up the road. The Performance Center's just up the road 3 hours. Would you consider working for them?
A lot of people ask me. I have a lot of friends there. I know a lot of people, but sometimes I might not be so PC, because you're in my class. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll go, are you injured or you hurt? And they'll go, I don't know. I said, well, go get out of the ring until you figure it out. And then when they come back, are you injured or you hurt? I go, well, I'm hurt. Then I said, well, let's go, continue. And they go, well, I'm injured. I said, well, then go get a doctor's note and come back, So, you can't do that nowadays. I'm a little bit old school. But over the years, like I said, you keep learning with each school and different things and how times have evolved and times have changed. I do take more of a subtle approach, but I still have those moments once in a while, So sure. I don't know. I would like to, eventually maybe build some type of working relationship with, where I go maybe sit in and, watch production meetings and stuff. And so I run the school, so they're prepared to go there. But they've always been happy. I've had, I couldn't ramble the names off, but, Rusev being the main one, and the latest one's Vanessa Bourne that's in there now. The last ones that I trained in L.A., I've had at least 7 or 8 people come through there that I've trained or had something to do with, and they seem to be fine with all their fundamentals and everything, their bumps and all that. They're not worried about so much all the fancy stuff they have. It's just, are they teachable? Are they coachable?
Sure, yeah.
And the stuff that they've learned already, is it the right stuff? That's why I tell people when they ask me, it's very important. I'm not telling you to go to my school or anything, but it's very important to go to a school that somebody's still actively wrestling or have done something and still have ties and communicates with the people there to know what's going on. I have friends that I call them all the time. I said, the other day I just go, man, I'm getting tricked up on these quarter rolls. I hate these quarter rolls, but I know they got to do them. But I said, am I teaching this right? Because I still question myself, because I don't want to send them on the wrong path at all in the least bit of way. So I won't let pride get in the way. Sometimes I could be foolish, but like I try to cut the nose out. I try to be humble and go, all right, I want to just make sure. And they go, oh yeah. I go, okay, thank you. so I do call and I do ask a lot of questions because I don't want to guide them wrong. Just because I was trained that way doesn't mean that's the way now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I'll still give them my way, but I'll say this is the way you need to do it if you're going there.
So what makes a wrestler go from being really good to being next level, to being great?
Really good to the next level, I think that's within the wrestler himself, isn't
Okay.
it? So, I mean, if we've all come in, we've all had the same amount of talent, say me and you are same build, same talent, trained by the same guy,
For
right?
sure, we are. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I know, I wish I had abs. I got one big keg, but
Pizza, more pizza, that's how.
it's here.
Good.
So we all come in, we look the same, same abilities. What makes you stand out? So they're walking down the line to hire people. What made them catch you? What sparkly little thing on you made you stand out? We're all the same. You're in the same assembly line. What's the same? And that's going to be the individual itself, that person. And then once they figure out, they dial in. Psychology is one thing, this and that. But if they come to those levels, but they got to get comfortable within themselves, and then they got to find who that you can't force a character on somebody. You can't force a style on somebody. You can't force wrestling on anybody. Wrestling chooses you. You come to wrestling because you're interested in here, but it sucks you in. It chooses you, and then if you fight it and you constantly fight and not turn yourself over to it, then you're never going to be comfortable. If you're not, I always tell people, if it's not comfortable, it's not right. If it isn't comfortable, it isn't right. Yeah. So you got to be comfortable with what you're doing, and then come out and let your inner self or your extra personality, whatever it is, something come out and just be like, how can you feel foolish? We're in tights and baby oils and rolling around with each other and saying, have you ever seen a grown man naked? I don't know. It's like an airplane movie. You know what I mean? How can you be uncomfortable, right? Like with anybody or embarrassed about anything, right? So when you let that out and you learn to start having fun with it, you're trained the right way, you got all the fundamentals and the skills, start having fun with it, and then you got to enjoy it, you got to embrace that character. It's something you got to be comfortable with, and then I think that's what drives them. Like you were just telling me how you thought Rusev is funny and he's over now and everything. Yeah. I think he let that inner thing out. He got past, I got to fight the system and try not to get fired. I'm not getting pushed. I'm better than him. I put more time in. I think what he did was just started finally having fun. Yeah. And then he let it out and just started being himself. And then bam, there it is. Yeah. If you can be yourself and you're comfortable with yourself, so can everybody else. If you're not comfortable with yourself, you don't like yourself, how can you talk 1 million people or 5 million or 100 million people into liking you? Yeah. It's the same thing with a relationship or anything else. You got to love yourself before you can love anybody else so they love you.
Now we're getting relationship advice with Gangrel. Well, the information's behind us here, right?
On that note, you're getting out of here.
Well, I'm gonna get in the ring here.
Yeah, but it's Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum. We're in Dania, Florida. The city's been awesome to us here. It's been nothing but great to us. 1982 Tiger Tail Boulevard, Building 9.
GWAFlorida.com?
Yeah, I don't know all that stuff, but
you can see it, right, Daniel? You can see it behind us there. There it is. Okay. All right. Appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah. Thanks,
Such a pleasure to talk to you.
All mine.